Hello, and welcome back. I'm sorry I never got a second podcast out this week, but it's been a crazy past week. And, we've had things going on, emergencies, and everything else. So here, hopefully, I'm back on track. But thank you for watching my last podcast. And before we go on into our full show, I want to touch in on, first of all, a little bit that's on the news. And then later, we're going to go back into some more scam stuff today. And hopefully I can kind of teach you guys how to safeguard yourself and keep yourself safe from these scams and what are some of the things by showing you how I went through and determined validity on some of these things and how you can use them yourself to keep yourself safe. So before we get going, here's a quick word from my sponsor and we'll be right back. Hi, block therapy is my go-to when I've had a long, hard day. It helps release tired muscles, tight fascia, and even Charlie horses. It saved me oodles of money on massage treatments, neurofascial, and other treatments. And it's relatively inexpensive to get going. Purchasing a starter pack gives you everything you need from not only the block, but all the starter videos and everything else you need to get started. And the support is unlimited. Block therapy is practitioner recommended. Okay, so first of all, you can see me on YouTube, you can watch me on Rumble, and you can watch me on Facebook. As I said last episode, you can now catch all the notifications on Substack as well. And please like, subscribe, and share because this is how we're going to grow the channel. And as we get going, I'm going to be bringing more and more investigative reports, including health-based ones, including much like what we did a week from last Friday. Okay, first, before we get going, we are going to talk about some of the news. So as you guys all know, Trump had announced this past week that they were going to put like a 25% tariffs on Canada unless they buckled down and started dealing with the border crisis, dealing with the fentanyl and drug issues, and a number of other things. I am going to share a quick video from the pleb. I think it kind of summarizes everything really good. There's so many videos I can share on this, but I'm kind of glad I waited out the week because I think what the pleb has is a good summary and it has a few comical things in it too you might want to check out. So let's watch a little bit from them. Okay, here's a little bit from the pleb.
Well, folks, I don't think I've ever seen Trudeau this scared in his entire run as prime minister, as we saw this week after Trump threatened Trudeau with 25% tariffs if he didn't fix the border. Yesterday on X at 3:38 p.m., I called it. I said that Trudeau's on his way to Mar-a-Lago when he was above Delaware. Now, credit to CBC Watcher for breaking this. But yes, I was the first big account to call this, that Trudeau was on his way to visit Trump in a panic. Now, the reason they say X is the real news now is because this story broke way before our mainstream media got their hands on it, including CBC, the state-funded media here in Canada, who were about 1.5 hours after me to report that Trudeau was going to Mar-a-Lago.
To bring you up to speed on what we talked about off the top of the show. You can see here now that the Prime Minister's plane has landed at the airport in West Palm Beach, Florida. And I can tell you, based on my reporting and reporting by our Washington correspondent, Katie Simpson, that Justin Trudeau is on that plane.
Okay, so that plane code here has CFC01, which is automatic. Anytime the Prime Minister goes on the plane, it diverts to that unique code. So I mean, they're just finding out now that Trudeau was on that plane landing in Palm Beach. I mean, come on.
He is on his way to Mar-a-Lago, where he will have dinner with President-elect Donald Trump tonight. This is something that the Prime Minister and his office sought out.
I like how they chose the picture with his non-straight socks, pink non-straight socks here. Great picture choice, CBC.
that we're able to make this happen. And Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc is also part of the contingent of Canadian officials who have traveled to Florida today with the Prime Minister so that they can meet with President-elect Trump. Now, this, of course, comes in a very difficult week when Donald Trump put on his social media feeds on Monday night that he would slap a 25% tariff on all products coming into the United States from both Canada and from Mexico, unless those countries made efforts to stop the flow of people and fentanyl across their borders. This caused extreme urgency amongst the Canadian and American and Mexican business populations, and of course amongst political circles here, leading to a First Ministers meeting between the Prime Minister and Canada's premiers on Wednesday, and now this unplanned flight by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. So not unplanned, unknown flight of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc to Florida to meet with Donald Trump tonight to talk about this. Okay.
And he's right. It was an unknown flight because it was not on his itinerary. His official itinerary here says he was in Prince Edward Island. This is why they call X the real news. If you want breaking news, you got to go on X. We had this hours before the CBC, as pointed out by McFargie here, saying, sorry, we were watching the plane land hours ago. And some of these headlines here were absolutely hilarious as Trudeau's motorcade arrives to Mar-a-Lago here, with this one saying from the Citizen Free Press, Justin Trudeau, son of a Fidel Castro, arrives in Mar-a-Lago. And here are the first photos of Trudeau arriving at Mar-a-Lago with his tail between his legs, being greeted by none other than President Trump, a man who he spent 4 years talking smack about, thinking he would never come back. And you just know that Trudeau was not enjoying being at Mar-a-Lago last night, having to grovel, having to beg for Trump's mercy after all the smack he talked about Trump. And of course, the part that pained Trudeau the most was having to kiss the ring and pay his respects to the new president, the Don himself, Donald Trump. And last night, Trump posted this on his True Social account here, saying, with an interesting special guest at the Trump head table at Mar-a-Lago. He didn't even refer to Trudeau as a prime minister. He just called him a special guest. Was that a shot here? And look here with Trump and Trudeau right here. These are people from the Trump team. These are people from the Trump team. Look how they separated Trudeau's chief of staff and Trudeau's security minister of safety and security right here. He separated Trudeau from his two lackeys right here, which is pretty funny. And I don't know if you guys noticed this from the pic, but apparently Trudeau got photobombed last night by this random kid here right behind him during the official photo. I wonder if Trump posted that picture specifically on purpose. And with this historic meeting last night in Mar-a-Lago, many people were speculating, what were they talking about? Because nobody knew. All we had were pictures. And some people speculated, with even Elon Musk agreeing here, saying Trump should start the Trudeau dinner at 25% tariff and move it up and down every time Trudeau says something good or stupid. I think we should foster a global co-op 30. I'm just saying we need to be more inclusive. 42. You can't just keep doing that. 54. I'm sorry. Okay, we're back to 30. And Elon Musk thought that was funny as well. And earlier this month, Elon Musk let us know he's not a fan of Trudeau and told us he thinks Trudeau's going to lose the next election. No offense, Elon, but you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that one out. But my favorite part about last night was watching Trudeau squirm, watching Trudeau have to go to Mar-a-Lago in a panic, watching Trudeau have to eat his words for all the friggin' smack he talked about Trump. Now he has to fly to Mar-a-Lago and kiss Trump's ass, which is amazing. Here's Trudeau at Mar-a-Lago. Am I doing a good job, Mr. Trump? You missed the spot, Justin. Shine those shoes, Justin. But all jokes aside, serious things were discussed last night at Mar-a-Lago, and Vashi Kapelos confirms to us what they were.
One person who actually attended the meeting, another who was involved with setting it up, and I can tell you that it lasted 3 hours. I am told by those sources that it was a positive, wide-ranging dinner, that topics included in this order: trade, border security, fentanyl, defense, including NATO, Ukraine, and icebreakers, the purchase of, I imagine, China, energy, including the KXL pipeline, the Keystone XL pipeline, Line 5, TMX, and LNG exports, as well as the upcoming G7, which is scheduled, Canada actually is scheduled to host next year, or into next year, into the spring. And then I'm told there was also lots of social talk. Now, the list of who was at this dinner is also pretty sort of significant as well. Alongside the Prime Minister, our minister who oversees the border, the Minister of Public Safety, Dominic LeBlanc, his Chief of Staff, Katie Telford, as well as Governor Doug Burgum, who is the nominee for the Interior Secretary position. He's going to be the energy czar for Donald Trump. Howard Lutnick, his nominee for Commerce Secretary, and his National Security Advisor nominee, Mike Waltz, along with their partners. You can
Now, keep in mind here, Mike Waltz, okay, his National Security Advisor, because I'm about to show you something that's going to crack you up.
really tell it's all about security, the border, and now also energy, Heather.
I think Trump is hilarious here, separating Trudeau from his PMO and his border czar, Dominic LeBlanc, and seating Trudeau next to Rep. Mike Waltz, who, look at this here, quote tweeted a Pierre Poilievre tweet trolling Trudeau and said this guy, aka Pierre Poilievre, is going to send Trudeau packing in 2025. Finally, and start digging Canada out of the progressive mess it's in. His trolling of Trudeau's nonsense worth a watch. This guy likes Pierre Poilievre and doesn't like Trudeau. And after this 3-hour meeting, Trudeau arrived to his hotel looking absolutely rattled and not willing to answer simple questions from reporters.
Prime Minister, what did you and Trump talk about at dinner? Prime Minister?
Trump rattled Trudeau so hard that he was left speechless. But the following day, Trudeau was able to get 1 or 2 words out to the press as he was leaving his hotel the following morning.
Prime Minister, was it a productive meeting with President-elect?
It was an excellent conversation.
How are you talking about your relationship with Donald Trump?
An excellent conversation.
I do have to hand it to Trudeau. That was probably the right move, to go talk to him directly. I would have to say that's probably the best thing. And as I've heard from other reports, that for him to go back and forth on the phone, that just wasn't going to do. But on the other hand, you could tell by the way he was walking out. You always can. Trudeau has a tell. He has a tell. If things don't go the way he wants it, he's not very talkative. And he wasn't very talkative. So you know things did not go the way he figured they should have. What conspires from that? I don't know. I guess we will see in the future. If you guys want to comment on that, what are your thoughts about that? I'd like to hear from you. There was a few good ones about Fidel Castro in there. That wasn't coming from the pleb. That was something he shared. A few good jokes in there. But honestly, I'd like to hear from you, and you tell me what you think. Do you think that Trudeau will come through and give in to Trump's demands in time for his inauguration? So when he goes into the office, he will not impose that 25% tariff on? Or what? And do you think that that is good for Canada? It's not, but on the other hand, here's my thoughts. My thoughts are that, like I said earlier, I think Trump is going to rein Trudeau in. Anyhow, let me hear. I'd like to hear from you, and I'd like to hear whatever you have to say about it. Anyhow, moving on to our next, and what I want to focus on mostly in this episode today is I'm going to talk more about the crypto scam. So I'm going to replay a little bit from my last episode, how we shut down crypto finance, or so we thought we did. Anyhow, take a look. Our presentation. So before we get going, I have some really exciting news in response to our last episode on the crypto scam. So after airing this on Friday, I decided to share the link with Crypt Finance. And I attempted through the chat originally. I'd asked them if they cared to comment. I would share the response on the next episode. No response from them. So, okay. So I decided to go through the support email after that. And I basically said the same thing, a little bit longer a response. I also included it with a request for them to return our seed money by the 30th. And I also said, if you care to comment or share a response, I'd be happy to post it on the next episode. Well, I got a response. Not quite what you would call a response, but it was a response. Nope, they never gave me any words. They never gave me any verbal response. Guess what? They shut down the website. So there is no longer a website. Let me show you. So here we go. No website. I refresh it. Nothing. My girlfriend just called me up this morning, or texted me, I guess, and she said, "Can you get into it?" So before I even answered her, I just went in and said, "No, they went dark. What can we say?" Yeah, so they packed it up. They know we're on to them, and they took off with any monies that we had invested into it. I mean, like I said, I was prepared for that, but I just feel bad for all those that got duped. I really do. And I hope there wasn't too many people that got duped for a lot of money. I hope not. Anyhow, we did it. We shut them down. Okay, so they have not come back online since, and we're not sure exactly if they're operating still or not. But I did a little bit of searching today, and I found some similar names again. In fact, there was only one character different in it. I'm going to show you this in a minute. But what I want you guys to take note is some of the stuff that I've been doing here. And this is stuff that you can also do on your own. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to do it. It doesn't take a genius. It's just some simple common sense and what to do, what to Google, and everything else, and how to protect yourself through it. And these are techniques you can use for not just crypto scams, but any other scams. I would say it was probably almost a year and a half ago, I went to buy some stuff on Facebook. And, oh, this is a really good deal. I believe it said it was coming out of the States. So, okay, no big deal. So I bought it. This is a really good sale. Then there was another deal I found. They were on fishing kayaks, and it was a really good deal. I was going to get 2 of them, thinking I was buying 2, and ended up finding out it was supposed to be 2 for the price of 1. And I had 4 supposed kayaks coming to me. Anyhow, what saved me there was my credit card. First of all, the lawn chairs never did come. And secondly, on the kayaks, something else came instead. And I don't even know if I still have the item that actually came. It was a scarf, a $10 scarf, if it's even worth that. And kind of like a Hello Kitty thing or something like that. Like it was something really stupid. Anyhow, my credit card, I went through the buyback or whatever that process is. And on both of them, I got my money back. But before doing so, they didn't want to pay me anything back. They wanted to negotiate the price back. And expecting me to give in, I said no. But I had to go through the process of trying to negotiate with them before I could go through the buyback process with them. Anyhow, I ended up going through the buy process. They weren't going to budge. They weren't going to give me any more than maybe 45% back and stuff like that. But I ended up going through the credit card and I got the whole amount back. You can use something like that. I use the same kind of an idea to figure out whether they were a company after I'd already bought from them, which was crazy. I guess Facebook had a big rash of that going around about a year and a half ago, and I think there has been legal steps taken towards them in the last year and a half or so. But these are steps that you can take for not just those, so not just the crypto scams, but these kind of scams. Because what happens is, it doesn't matter what kind of a scam it is, whether it's a product scam or it's a crypto scam or whatever, you can take these steps to check to see if they look legit. And it's not saying that they're necessarily not legit, but when you start searching some of this stuff out, you'll see the patterns and you go, oh, okay, no, it really is too good to be truth. It's not worth the risk. So I am going to show you that in the rest of this episode. And I think it's important that you guys go ahead and learn some of these steps or just kind of write them down or whatever. Even if you just write notes down, you always have it. I keep so many notes in my phone. It's not even funny. And I sometimes have to go back and weed it out. So don't hesitate to put notes in your phone. And then you can go back and you know how to redo it or save this podcast and it'll help you go through it again. So anyways, let's take a look. So as I decided to do a quick search today and I started just Googling crypt finance. And interestingly enough, I had another site pop up with crypt finance. Let me show you. Okay, so upon investigating this is the website that I actually found. There's just one little character difference, and that's that they put a hyphen in between. Does not mean that it's the same group. It does not mean it is the same gig that's going on. It doesn't mean any of that. However, interesting, you notice these little things, these little pop-ups that are coming up? That came up on the other site as well. It was always saying so-and-so earns so much, and it's the same structure. So-and-so from such and such a country, here's from Pakistan, earned, they would say withdrew or deposited or whatever. They just have a slight bit different wording, but the same thing keeps popping up. That might not mean that it's the same person either, but it might mean that they're using the same software to do it, the same fake software to do it. And maybe that's just a software that is being sold in behind, kind of like an operating system like Joomla or WordPress or something. They might have a different system in behind and it's going up. So that alone does not mean it's the same, but it does raise a little bit of a question. It also has here, and this might be a little bit difficult to look at because of this little pop-up here. When it goes down, notice that it has we reply immediately. That was also on the other website when you go into the chat. We reply immediately. So that is also something that's coming up that makes it almost look like it's the same people. Again, we don't know. We just don't know. As we scroll down, you know, it had all sorts of good stuff in there. They even talk about company commission here. It goes into this here. Now, I just kind of want to go over this a little bit. This, if you take a look here, this is about the third address I found on this website. And I'll go into this in a little bit more detail in a few minutes. They also talk about a license. The other one did too, but the other one didn't really say much about his license, neither does this one. So this kind of stuff was all in on that other one in different formats. And it talks about different things in the program, like referral programs and everything. Now, I'm going to just go into investments here. And it starts talking about our investment plans here. If you can see here, we got 10% weekly, 12% weekly, 12% monthly, 20% monthly. They sound all really good, don't they? And minimum investment, maximum investment, you know, very similar to the other one. Again, does it not mean it's the same people, but it looks very similar. And so, interesting. Now we're going to go into the contact here. Remember when I said we've seen 3 different addresses so far? Well, here's another one. This, I believe, is an address they're saying is for the Registration Association, which is Financial Conduct Authority. Now, before we get into that, I looked that up. All I could find was this. There's looks like a building being constructed over there. They've got it blurred out. That's okay. Got a blank lot over here. Not sure which side is 735 or 7 34. But if you go down here, and it looks like there is many brand new buildings. So it looks like this is the brand new building they're building. So it's obviously not being lived in yet. And a lot of buildings being built down there. It looks like this is just an area that's under construction. That's all we see. So at least there's an actual address here, but we just don't have anything to go on. So we'll go back to it. You scroll a little bit down here. Now rest assured that other one was in the States too. It was in St. Charlotte, North Carolina. This one is in Los Angeles. And I've looked this one up too. And this is what I got. I've looked up a couple different versions of this one. I've seen one in a more daylight. And I also saw a for rent sign right here on the other version that I saw. I can't, and when I start scrolling around, I really don't see 553 anywhere when I start going up and down the street. So I'm not sure what's 553. It might be in one of these houses. And then the other version, I saw nothing but trash along here. So, I mean, maybe they are working out of a home. I don't know. And that is not, I've known financial advisors to work out of homes before. It's not like it's a big deal. But when I saw a for rent sign on there before, I'm not sure which was the newer one of the two, but I can tell you that there's some suspicions going up right now on this. So I decided to do a search on this Financial Conduct Authority, and I'm going to go back to where we saw the front page. And we're going to go back to that little bit here. Okay, and it's saying 48 Warwick Street, London. Okay, so I did a search on that, and guess what? I see 106 Warwick, and here's 66. We're right at the end of the street. I don't see anything else. So I don't know, unless it's in here. Nope, it's not coming up as anything here. So it doesn't seem legit. I'm not actually seeing this address here. So, oh, yeah. So it does, yeah. And that 48 Piccadilly Circus, I don't know, what's this? Does it go to that? I think they pulled something out of another address there, honestly, because that doesn't seem legit. Okay, let's go back into that. Now, I decided to go and look up that FCA website. And this is what I got. I got a website in the UK. So what the heck is the UK doing certifying something in United States? Financial Conduct Authority. They have no jurisdiction in the States. Sorry, but they just don't. I've never heard of that. I would have heard of that in my own training that I took. So I did a search on them, and when I got down to the bottom, I found 12 Endeavour Square, London. And here is their address. So this is a little bit more legit. It is they are probably located in this building. I haven't really gone and looked at it that much more. I don't really see a whole lot to indicate, and a lot of times you won't know until you actually go into those buildings to find out. It appears legitimate, so I went on a little bit further and I decided to go and search in their website, Crypt Finance. And this is what I came up with. We found 8 firms matching Crypt Finance. We have Crypt Global Finance Investment. We have Accurate Finance's Crypto Investment. We have Finance Crypto FX. We have Crypto Wave Finance. We have Diamond Crypto Finance, and Crypto FX Finance, and Crypto Investment Finance Limited. I'm wondering if some of those are actually related. And we have it looks like most of them are in England, but we don't see anything to do with Crypt Finance. But each one of these have an unauthorized warning on it. And when you click into it, It says this is an unauthorized firm that uses the details of a genuine FCA regulated firm when offering products and services. This makes the unauthorized firm appear as if it's regulated. We strongly suggest you do not deal with unauthorized firms. So, they're not saying that they're a scam, but they're cautioning people that they could be. And if you look, every one of them have the unauthorized warning on it. Interesting, hey? I even went and took this number. And I searched it there. And look, it gave me absolutely nothing. So these are steps that you could start with. And I'm going to go on and show you a few more that are really easy to do. But, you know, if they're claiming that they have a financial regulator, go in and check those. This is more specific for finance stuff, but do go start with these steps and start looking at it. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. So these are a few things you can do to get started, and these will, in the long run, it's worth your time to actually check these out. If there's something that just doesn't make sense, sometimes something in these areas can actually flag and warn you to, is this a possible hoax? Now, we went further than that, and we went and looked into the domain. And remember, I did that a couple videos ago when I was going through this crypto scam. I went and searched the domain. Okay, so as we went a little bit further into this, we started finding more discrepancies. And just as I suspected, we got more and more signs that this was a scam. Take a look at this site one more time. Okay, this is important because I'm going to show you something else in a minute. But one of the things you can do is you can go to a who is. You just type in who is, all one word or two separate words. It doesn't really matter. And then you just go in and you type in the domain, crypt-finance.org is what I typed into this one. We found out that this one was in Africa. Now, it's probably not connected. Well, I shouldn't say that. It could be connected. It may not be connected to the one that I previously found in Iceland. Then again, they could be just filing these all over the place. But this looks to be a domain provider in South Africa or in Africa somewhere. And when I further searched it out, it looked like it was more like a South Africa area, or at least the people were registering from. Now again, we have, like the other crypt finance that I did in episode 2, we had everything redacted for privacy, redacted for privacy. It may or may not be valid. Usually it isn't, but in this case, it's hard to say. We'll look into that a little bit more and see what someone else says about it. However, one thing I want to look at is the dates. So it was registered on the 3rd month, March 27th, 2024. And that means that this website is less than a year old. So chances are it is a spoof put up, just like that other one. The other one was, I think, it was February of 2024 that the website was put together. Now, same thing I found when I searched those items that I purchased over Facebook over a year and a half ago, or almost about a year and a half ago, I guess it would be now. And they were some of them were as young as maybe a couple months. That's a big flag right there. If they're up and running that fast and you know that it's a wham bam, thank you ma'am, it's up and running, it's, we're going to spoof the crap out of them and get what we can out of them. So, I mean, I know any website that I've put on, yes, I can have the basic site up and running, but anything I've built to have legitimate information, it's actually taken me weeks to get up. So, I mean, I can get a bare roots system running, and that's real lickety split. But if I am actually building something as complicated as this to get going, it would have taken me months, sometimes over a year, to get going properly. So, and I'm not saying that professionals can't get it up. like nothing because they can. But when there's detailed trading information in the background, I wouldn't think that they could probably have it running and and be prominently making money that fast right off the bat. So I don't know. There's just something a little bit weird about it that it was just been running since last March, the end of March. But anyways, let's move on from there. Now I don't have a whole lot of other information, and I did click into one of those IPs and I really didn't get a whole lot of information. But other than that, there's not a heck of a lot here, and we couldn't really go on anywhere. Now, I went on to, and this is something you can do, you can look for website scam reviews sites. This is Scam Advisor, scamadvisor.com. And I've used it every now and then. Now, it kind of evaluates the site for you a little bit. And this one says it has a trust score of 1 out of 100. Now, let's go through this a little bit. Crypt-finance.org. So on this one, it has no reviews, but this is what it's found. So it says it has a low trust score, which means it has a strong likelihood that the website is a scam. And that's what I found with those websites that were on Facebook selling goods. They were getting a very low trust score too, just like these sites. Now, these are the positive highlight was it has an SSL certificate that is valid, and honestly, that means nothing nowadays. I mean, you need to have that on there if you're doing any purchasing or you have any stored information, but anyone can buy them for just a few bucks, so it's not like it's a big deal. Negative highlights, the owner of the website is using a service to hide his identity on the Whois. See, there's that word Whois. You can just search that on Google and you can find a number of sites where you can look up the Whois. You just search the domain name on it. According to Tranco, this site has a low rank. It says a high number of suspicious websites are on this server. Yes, and there's a high number of suspicious websites similar to this all over when you do a search. This may be a hype website, and I believe a hype website is something to do with Ponzi scheme, I believe, if I recall right. And this website is very young. That's what it says. Okay, so not really a whole lot to go on there other than it's not recommended you look into them. But beyond that, we're not seeing a whole lot. It's just saying that it's not it doesn't have enough information to be to determine whether it's trustworthy or not. And they basically are deeming it not trustworthy. And it says, okay, it says has an SSL certificate valid and SSL type, it's low domain validated certificate. So I'm guessing that means a lower level of SSL. The issuer, it says let's encrypt. So it must not be encrypted. And there's not really any information on the owner. Everything's redacted. The administrator or the technical end, there's nothing. The only thing we really have is on the registrar. And like I said, the registrar is really nothing. It's just the company they go through to register the name. That has no bearing as to whether they are a scam or not. Some companies seem to attract the scam artists more, like Names Cheap and all that, but really nothing more. Now there's a couple, here's one name that we found that was similar, but it's already down. So I'm assuming it was a scam site too and got caught. But beyond that, it really wasn't, we couldn't find anything on that. Now, in our Googles and all the Googles and the things that we're trying to look up here, I've even gone as far as Googling phone numbers and everything else. I found another site. Now take a look at this. That looks similar? Yeah. Let's go back to Crypt Finance. Doesn't that look similar? Oh boy, it looks identical, doesn't it? Now, here's the really crazy thing. We're going to scroll right down to, remember when I was talking about that certificate number and address? Take a look. This is the other one, cryptforextradex.com. Look at this number. Okay, I'm going to go and scroll down to that on Crypt Finance. It looks the same, doesn't it? 136,99699, right? 136,99699. Yeah, it's completely the same. Everything's the same on it. And when I go into the investments, it's exactly the same as the other one. So I did a Whois on this. And it comes up as registered on the 12th or on the December 10th by the looks of it. And we have an actual address. The other one had no address. It was totally redacted. We couldn't find anything. We figured it was in South Africa, but who knows? But this is actually a city, when I looked it up, a city in the Bahamas. And I've even looked up this number. And when I Googled this number, I found all sorts of stuff from porn to whatever, sex stuff, everything you can imagine. So obviously they're a whole pile, they're into the whole gamut, not just crypto. They're just a full-blooded scam artist, you name it. Anyhow, so I went into Scam Advisor. Again, saying the rating of the site is low, caution is needed. It also has a trust score of 1 out of 100. But it gets interesting here. So it does have 2 positive highlights. I mean, it still has the SSL check certificate. The certificate is valid. The DNS filter considers this website safe, but it has a whole pile more negative highlights. So again, he's hiding his identity. And they said it's using a paid service. It's interesting. The website does not have many visitors, and we found a low-rated website on the same server. Okay. Several spammers and scammers use the same registrar. So, like I said earlier, there are certain registrars that attract these kind of people. It's a possible high-risk financial services. That's what they figure. They figure the financial services or content identified with a high-risk return. And looks like it's another hype site. So possible Ponzi scheme. And they found several negative reviews, which we're going to go look at. This website has been registered has only been registered recently, so it's been almost a year. Data sensitive services provided on this website are hosted on a shared server. So that's not good especially when it's coming to financial stuff. So, okay. Here we go now we notice the other one didn't have negative stuff. So this one seems to be older. So I'm wondering if they're starting to get negative reviews. So now they researched a new one and they went to that other one and they copied everything. So we don't have reviews catching up with it, but who knows? Anyhow, so here's one from Anthony Newell. If you are about to make a payment to these scoundrels, stop. They are a scam, but if you have already, don't let them go scot-free with your money. Contact sure, whatever. I'm not going to really worry about that. And join the class action and reclaim your funds. I guess there's a class action. They have more. Otherwise, you can kiss your money goodbye. So I have no idea what that's about. It doesn't really say when it was posted. And here's another one. Crypt Recruiter 75. Hi. Leonidas Devon, sorry if I can't say that right. This platform is a scam thanks to a trusted recovery agent, and contact the email above. Now, I am not going to get into whether these guys are legit or not. That's up to you to try. I've read information that sometimes these guys are not legit. I have to investigate more into that. That's all I'm going to say. But the fact that it has 2 bad reviews is probably why they searched another name and they started up again, all the same site. So that's my guess. Whether it's connected to the original Crypt Finance that we looked into, I really don't know. That's remained to be seen. But this is how you would check something out and use these steps to provide a little bit more information to determine whether you want to proceed with them or not. And even if you do with any kind of a site, and I'm not saying anything's exactly a scam or not, if you do, going through Scam Advisor and the who is, and even Googling a phone number, an address, or like I've shown you here today, can give you a little bit more information and help you determine whether it's worth the risk. So I hope that gives you a little bit of information to get going. That's pretty basic information. A lot of people are savvy enough that they can figure that out on the internet. But for those who don't really know how to go ahead and do that, that's how you would go ahead and check to see if these guys are legit or not. Now, honestly, that information isn't 100% foolproof, but it's a good start. And it would give you enough information to get the spidey senses satisfied a little bit if you have them going. You can do that with just about any website. Check it out, see what it says. Oh, before we go, one last thing. Remember the comment that came in the last episode and I showed it. Those comments themselves are actually scam, because I've had a number of those same scams giving seed phrases into another wallet. Those themselves are actually scams I've read online. So do not get caught in it. And anytime I get one on there now, I am just putting that behind it, scam. And so people, if I catch it, then people will know. If you see it on any of mine, put scam if I don't get to it first. And I'd appreciate that. But apparently those are, and I think they're trying to get into other people's wallets by doing that. So I've read a little bit. Once I know more about those, I will alert you guys to those scams as well. So I'm leaving them on right now so people realize that they are scams. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you in the next episode.